fine line between optimism and reality. Walt Disney certainly didn't think so. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Dr. King didn't think so. They were optimists. They dedicated their lives to creating the reality that they desired. The world told them that their aspirations were unattainable. So, they changed the world. Walt Disney built an entertainment empire from the ground up and turned acres of swampland into an international tourist destination. Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, they transformed the landscape of the tech industry. Dr. King, through his peaceful protest, sparked a political revolution that changed the lives of millions of Americans. So, what do all of these men, these optimists, have in common? They pushed the line. They turned optimism into reality. Pushing the line is not a new concept. Let me paint you a picture, set the stage, if you will. In the 1960s, the world predicted an agricultural collapse. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization concluded that over half the world's population lived in malnourished countries. Countries like Mexico, India, Pakistan were at risk. Millions of people could starve to death. By all means, these countries had no hope for survival, let alone creating a functioning export-based economy. Until we introduced optimism. Or more specifically, introduced Dr. Norman Borlaug, a name some of you might not know. Well, in 1970, Dr. Borlaug was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his contributions to ending world hunger. He developed a genetically altered wheat crop known as dwarf wheat, which could survive much harsher temperatures and was much more disease resistant. Norman's development provided Mexico, India, and Pakistan the opportunity to feed themselves. A global crisis averted because one man believed he could find a better way. He had a vision, a world in which these countries could thrive. So, in order to make this vision real, he pushed the line. He was confident in his ability to change the world. And look where we ended up. In the 1960s, these countries were on the brink of collapse. But now, India and Pakistan are agriculturally self-sustaining. And Mexico, it's one of the top 25 wheat exporters in the world. One man's optimism led him to be credited with saving more lives than any man in human history. Now, this begs an important question. How does this apply to us, the people in this very room? How can we apply this idea to our own lives? Well, I believe in practicing what I preach. Of the 327 million Americans living in the United States, only 554 of them have the honor of serving in federally elected office. That is the goal I've set for myself, to be one of those 554 Americans. However, the odds are far from in my favor. Let me give you a frame of reference per se. Statistically speaking, I am more likely to be drafted into the NFL than I am to win federally elected office. But I have decided to create my own reality. I believe I have been called to serve my country. So, I must push the line. I believe that minority opinions need to be heard. I believe in preserving the fundamental rights guaranteed by our Constitution. I believe that the people of this great country are worth protecting. So, regardless of the odds, I am preparing myself for the future that I desire. I am willing to push the line between optimism and reality so that I can one day be one of the 554 dedicated Americans who chart the course of this great nation. Our potential is limitless. Optimism inspires change. It is the root cause of our ability to influence the world. It is change that pushes us forward, change that drives us to adapt, to learn, to grow as people. If we refuse to push the line, if we choose to separate optimism and reality, we lose our opportunity. The opportunity to bring dreams to life, connect cultures around the world, promote equal rights to all people, and save lives. So, to answer the question, no, there isn't a fine line between optimism and reality unless you believe there is. And I, for one, don't.